everybody, welcome back to our channel. My name is Lydia, this is my dad, Chris.
Hi everybody.
I had a question for my dad the other day. I wanted to know how to check bicycle pressure in the tires. So come along for the ride with us as we learn together. I have a few questions before we get started. What do we need to know and what do we need in order to do this?
It's a good question. So one of the things we're going to need is an air pressure gauge of some sort. So like this is one that you can use for cars. You can use it for bike tires, really any tire that requires air pressure. These are really cheap. You can get them at any big box store or your favorite car auto mechanic place too. So that's one way you can check the pressure as you go. The way to fill up the tires, there are two main ways that I know of. You can have a manual bicycle pump right here, which we got from our local Walmart for about 20 bucks, which we also use to inflate, soccer balls and basketballs around the house too. But I can show you how to use that. The other way is to inflate with an electrical air compressor, which we have. But those can be a little challenging in that it might be hard to titrate the pressure exact. And so there could be a chance of overinflating the bike tire, which could be potentially dangerous as far as the tire maybe blowing up in your face, which has a lot of obviously dangerous capacity there. So probably the best way to do this is to invest in a pump like this and learn how to use that. It's the safest way and probably most accurate for these bicycle tires.
I have another question. So I've noticed that on the end of the pump, there are two openings that air comes out of. Are they important for us to know?
That's a really good question, Lydia. Yeah, on the end of this pump, just so you know, this raises up and lowers down, and you probably be able to hear the air come out as you pump this. There's two openings, a bigger one and a smaller one. Hopefully you can see that. Does that show up okay? Okay. And the smaller one is for one type of valve, and the bigger one is for another type of valve. And so with bicycle tires, there's two main valves. The most common that I know of is the Schrader valve, which we'll show you. And the other one is the taller and skinnier one usually, and it's called the Presta valve. And that's going to be the smaller hole there. So the left one here, the bigger one, is for the Schrader valve, which we'll show you. And the right one is for the Presta valve, which we'll show you as well.
Okay, I also have another question. What do the valves look like?
Let me show you.
Here we are, this is the first bike, my Trek. Hey Dad, what kind of valve does this one have?
This one is the Schrader valve, the one that's most common. You can tell because it kind of has that black cap on it, and which you can remove. So you want to turn that counterclockwise or lefty-loosey, and it will just come off. And then you can tell that it's a Schrader valve based upon kind of the copper color of the valve. And this is where we'll inflate the air into the bike tire.
Cool.
Okay, on this second bike, this is my bike, the Diamondback. And this one, as you can see here, this valve is called the Presta valve. It's pretty obvious that it looks different. It's skinnier. And the top will also turn like the other one, but the tip won't come off. So we're going to turn this counterclockwise like this, which will loosen the tension, and then you'll be able to push in to let the air out like that. That's how the valve works. And so you would loosen it up like that before we put air into it. So this is the example of the Presta valve. This top does not come off when we compare it to the Schrader valve, which does.
Okay, I see what you mean. On this one it says inflate to 40 through 65 PSI. PSI must stand for pounds per square inch. So that means that I'm going to inflate it to 40 through 65 pounds per square inch. But remember, my bike tire has the same amount of pressure in each tire, but yours may not. So be sure to check before you add the pressure. Look at this bike tire. It looks different than the other one, and it has minimum and maximum. The minimum is 50. The maximum is 85, which means that you can only go up to 85. And on this one, both bike tires are the same PSI. I know from earlier that my bike is a Schrader valve. And we also know that the Schrader valve goes into the bigger opening in the pump. Can you show us how to plug it in?
Sure. So first off, we need to make sure that this little latch is down next to it like this. That means it's unlocked. And so we're gonna move it around. We're gonna take the big opening and we're gonna press it in on the valve like so. And then we're gonna lock it by lifting up that valve. That locks it on the valve, or that latch. We're gonna lock that latch on the valve. And then if you look down here on the pump, there is a gauge down here, and what we can tell right now is the outer numbers in white are the pounds per square inch values. And then there's a red needle that's pointing just under 30 right there. See if we can get that in focus a little bit better. Yeah, right in there. So what we want to do is pump the handle until that red needle is up to our desired PSI for the pressure in the tire. And usually what I've done is approximately 80% of the range, or the maximum value, I guess. And so since the maximum value on here was 40 to 65 PSI, approximately 80% would be 55 pounds per square inch. So I'm gonna pump this until we get to approximately 55 pounds per square inch. So we're gonna pump the handle, and each time I put in air, you'll notice that needle gets higher and higher with each pump. So we're at 40. We're gonna be moving up. We're about almost up to 50. We're at 50 now, and I want it to be around 55, which is right in between 50 and 60, right there. So I'm gonna stop pumping. I'm gonna come back over to the tire. I'm gonna do this relatively quick. I'm gonna unlatch it and pull it off the bike tire so that air doesn't leak out. And then now we know that this bike tire is at 55 pounds per square inch. We're gonna take the cap and just put it right back on, righty-tighty. And now we know we have the correct pressure for that tire. Next step, we're just gonna do the exact same thing with the back tire on the bike, and then the bike tire is ready to go.
Okay, so now that we know how to do the Schrader valve, what about the Presta? Oh wait, the Schrader valve went into the bigger opening, so the Presta valve must go into the tinier opening.
That's right. So just like on the other one, we're gonna hook this up to the bike tire exactly the same, with the exception of, instead of using the Schrader valve opening, we're gonna use the Presta. We're gonna make sure that this latch is down or flat, meaning unlocked. And then we're gonna undo this here, the cap, until it's open. And then remember, as you press this down, that's what lets the air out. And so we're gonna take that small opening, go right over the top, press it down tight, and we're gonna lock it in place by moving that valve. And then we're gonna look down at our gauge down here on our pump. And what you'll notice is that it looks, what, maybe 22 pounds per square inch where that red needle is in this bike tire right now. Given the range is recommended between 50 to 85 PSI for these bike tires, I'm gonna guess that we're gonna probably put in about 80%, which is what I normally do, which will be approximately 70 PSI. So as I pump this handle up and down, my goal for this tire is gonna be moving that red needle up to 70, which would be my 70 PSI. For those that have this pump, you'll notice the higher the pressure, the more effort it takes to push that air into the tire. So right now we're at about 63 or so, maybe about 65. And then we're kind of over now at 70. So we're gonna let a little bit out here. So I'm gonna unhook this back at the tire. We're gonna pull this off, and we can give it a little bit out like that, and we'll be just fine. So we are, again, it's an approximation, and so that would work great. For this tire, we're well within that range that's recommended. So I would do this for the back tire, and then this bike's ready to go.
Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Our Bible verse for today comes from John 3:30. He must become greater, I must become less. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.
Bye.